So, good evening and welcome to a special program on the NXTGEN Monday Night Tours. It is the Season 14 Preview, where we'll be having a look at the season to come for the Monday Night Touring Car package, being the Group A1s, the Modern Touring Cars, and the Monday Night Clios. Now, to begin with, we have Jack here.
Hello everyone, nice to be here tonight.
Obviously, person who hosts the Group A1s. Hopefully Lee will be here later on in the evening, but if not, we do have Jack who can talk a fair bit. Starting off with the Group A1s. Classic cars, I'll let Jack introduce them because, well, he's run them for many seasons.
Yeah, thanks Jordan. Yeah, so the Group A1s are now moving to the second season of this specific incarnation, the A standing for the Group A Tours, which involve the Ford Sierra Cosworth, the classic fire-breathing car, the BMW M3 from the classic DTM era, as well as the Mercedes 190E, which is also another classic from the DTM era. But the one, as addition to the Group A1 Tours, is the BMW M1 Pro car, which was a Group 4 car back in the early 80s, and that car was a fantastic car. It was driven by a number of race champions, Formula 1 champions back in the days, such as Nelson Piquet, Niki Lauda, and it's made a good addition to the series since it was introduced in season 13, and it's back again, in fact kicking off things in season 14, so that'll be a wonderful addition, and no doubt this season will throw up some very interesting mixes in the races to come.
Yeah, I mean, it did mix up last season, that's for sure. The Les saying miss you guys, well, we miss him until next week. When we won't miss anyone because I'll be in front of everyone. Yeah, the M1 Pro car is the biggest change, and I think it's really worked for the Group A1s. It really has made that impact, and I think kept everyone very much interested in what happens, because having a single car which is faster and more and technically more difficult to drive, to spice things up a little bit in the championship.
It has, and I think the advantage there was the 3 races that the BMW M1 was involved in last season produced 3 different race winners. Obviously Jamie won the slipstreaming battle at Classic Spa, and that race in itself was an absolute, depending on how you look at it, either a nightmare or a wonderful race, depending on what position you were in. Hockenheim, we saw Whitford win after another classic battle at the front, and then we saw our new debutant winner, One High Mofo, win at Road America in the M1, so I think it's got the ability to spice up the grid and put a few different drivers out of the comfort zone.
Well, yeah, I mean, it also sends drivers to dizzying heights as well.
It does send them to space.
Yeah, well, Tim, the first astronaut in a BMW M1 Pro car. I think he won't be repeating that feature again, unfortunately, although he may give it a good try. Looking at Season 14, the format hasn't really changed. I think that the only change really with it is qualifying will be 10 minutes and only 15 for the longer, slightly longer tracks, isn't it?
This was something that I implemented in season 12. I was supposed to do it again last season, but I didn't put the detail in the about section, and I only noticed that a couple of rounds in, and I thought, well, it's not fair to change it now, midway through the season. So at the shorter tracks such as Donington National, Silverstone Classic, Zolder, Bolton Park, Snetterton 200, you're looking at those as the 10-minute tracks for qualifying, just to put a little bit of spice in.
Now, the calendar, obviously you've mentioned briefly about it. Obviously I've gone through it today because I'm very organised. 3 tracks losing their place, or should I say 3 venues losing their place. 4 tracks are using different layouts. 5 tracks have survived the cut. a couple of almost returning ones that have been brought back in, and a mystery one. We'll start off at the beginning. Brands Hatch GP. That's in the M1, and that's a layout change.
Yeah, I've been looking for an excuse to bring the GP circuit back. We haven't used it since season 10, and even then, the last time we used it before that, I think, was season 6. So it's not a track that we get to use very often. But I was looking at the track list this season. I thought, to try and mix things up for the M1, try and have a close quarters battle in that car. There were some tracks I was umming and ahhing about, but then I looked at this, I thought, good chance to bring the GP track in, good chance to kick the season off in the M1, just for a little bit of a mix in the air.
Moving on, we have the returning Bannock Bray. Now, we know this circuit is very difficult, produces a hell of a lot of accidents, and everyone gets to go through Maggie's junk.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean,
think...
go on.
I think with Bannock Bray, I took it out last season because of the introduction of the M1, meant it lost its place, but I thought, bring it back this season, it's a great track to drive on. It is difficult, but I thought, well, I thought if I'm going to bring it back, I can't have it as a free choice circuit because the Ford would have too much power advantage around there. So it's an all Mercedes race, and I think it'll be very oversteery because we know what that car's like, especially on the off-camera corners, which will be very fun.
Round 3, again another track with a layout change. Donington National. Now, so we used the GP version last season. We're going back to the National, and I prefer the National personally. But what was it that made you decide let's go for the smaller circuit?
I haven't used the national circuit since season 11 because Donington completely missed out in season, I think it was 13 or season 12. I believe it missed out.
12, I think it missed
12
out.
12 it was when it missed out, yeah. And I just thought it'd be nice to bring back the national. It'd be a good track to have a free choice at, which some people might think that's a bit bizarre, but considering the Ford round Donington with the faster corners is going to struggle, I think the BMWs and the Mercedes are going to stand a chance around there. The Mercedes more so, but I think that'll be a really good race. And with the difficult braking zones, the heavy braking zones of that final chicane, I think it's going to square things up.
On to round 4, and this track not only stays yet again as it's a popular one and a resident round, but it also keeps the same round number this year, which is Bathurst in the Ford Sierra. We all know Bathurst, we all know the Sierras. It turns out to be a phenomenal race, and for the last 2 seasons it's produced, I wouldn't say unexpected results, but definitely a lot of twists and turns getting to the end result.
Yeah, it's a classic race, and as always, it'll keep the day-night schedule because I think it just adds a little bit of a different element to the race in the second half. Whether it'll start off at night and become daytime this season, I'm still not sure, and I probably won't change it now. But it's always a fun track. It's always like you said, Jordan. There's always lots of action. There's always twists and turns, and usually it's me at the end of those twists and turns that end up getting screwed over, but I don't mind that if it provides action. So I think it'll be another good one, as always.
Now, round 5, I'm going to let you explain round 5.
So round 5 is in the BMW M1. However, I don't know, and no one else will know until, I'm assuming, in the lobby, if I'm correct, Jordan, on that one.
Mm-hmm.
We won't know until we go into the lobby at round 5 what track we're going to be racing at. Now, I haven't got a clue what Jordan has got planned for us. I say that hand on heart. I promise I don't know, but it's known as the commentator's curse track. Jordan is picking the circuit. He, I believe, has been looking and planning his cruel scheme towards us, and I don't know what's going to happen. I believe Jordan will announce the weather. Is it going to be beforehand, or is it going to be at the same time?
I think well, it hasn't been fully decided, but I think I will let you know what the weather is, so you can announce the weather
On the day. Yeah,
on the day.
that's fine. That's not a problem. So on the day, we'll at least know what the weather is, but not what the circuit is. So that'll be fun.
To be honest, I don't even know what I'm going to pick yet either, so no one knows what's going to happen.
We'll see you in 6 weeks.
Or not when everyone when everyone looks at what I've got in store potentially. I mean, the biggest question with that one is, I mean, these kind of stemmed because me, you, Lee, Jamie, we were all in a chat, we were all joking around about it. Why the hell did it get put in?
Because I couldn't think of a circuit that's appropriate for the M1. I was debating and I thought, oh, just let Jordan decide. Keep that idea in. And it's something new. I think with the elements of surprise, no one's got the chance to practice. I think whoever can adapt fastest to the circuit, not so much to the car, because everyone's got a chance to practice on what car we're going to be in, but with everyone having a chance to adapt, it'll be really, really good fun.
Yeah, it could produce a surprise winner without a doubt.
Definitely, it could do.
Moving on to round 6, the final bit of part 1 of the season. Now, for the first time, and correct me if I'm wrong, for the first time pretty much ever since you've taken over the Group A ones, Silverstone National is not in the calendar. Its older brother is.
That
You've taken
is true. I don't.
You've taken to Silverstone Classic.
Yeah. Now, the reason behind this is, for those people that don't know, because we haven't announced it yet, we have a new thing called Turbo Mondays that's coming to the Monday Night Tours, where 4 races during the season, 4 on this will be called Turbo Mondays. Now, we race in 3 different leagues. There's the Group A ones on the Monday night, the TC League follows it on the Monday night, and then the Clio's on the Monday night. So me and Lee were thinking about this a while back, who's the host for the TC and the Clio League. And we came up with this idea of using a venue, but with 3 different layouts of each venue. So Silverstone was one of the 3 layouts, but I thought, well, I can't use National. I can't use the GP circuit because that wouldn't be right. I've always wanted to keep it close. So I thought, we'll take Classic. So I believe that Silverstone National will be raced in either the Clios or the TCs, and then the Silverstone GP track will also be used in one of the others. And that's how Silverstone Classic came about. And the reverse grid still remains, which will be a nightmare, just like it was last season for the 100th race. But it'll work, I hope.
Yeah, I mean, the only other layout obviously there is the international circuit.
Yeah.
Which is the one
that's too small.
Is it? I mean,
for the Group A's, I believe it is. I think so. I personally would prefer to have a big mixture of fast corners, whereas the international circuit has a couple of niggly slow corners that I'm not quite keen on. Whereas I think if you have a big flat slipstream blast, and that chicane at Woodcote at the end, I think will be really good fun. All in the BMW as well. That's the M3.
Yes, I'm showing that on screen, which is a lovely looking car. The Les has asked, has the rain been fixed yet? Which, knowing Project Cars, probably not.
I've come up with a relatively decent solution to that, which should hopefully stop the extreme weather from happening for as long. If anything does happen, it'll happen at the end of the race in the final few laps rather than the final half. So that's if it rains. That's it. I mean, it might not do because we're going from spring into summer, so there's a good chance. But it will be thoroughly tested beforehand to ensure that that doesn't happen again. As brilliant as Zolder was,
It was lethal.
not everyone was happy at the end of it. So I understand that.
So we have the week break after Silverstone Classic, so everyone gets to chill out, have a demo derby or two. Then they come back, and we return to Hockenheim Classic. Now I put it, even though I've got it on my sheet as a layout change, it's not actually a layout change, it's a car change, isn't it?
It is a car change.
Because we're stepping into the Sierra.
We're going to We're going to Hockenheim in the Sierra. The reason why is because I was looking for another track to slot the Ford into, and I thought about Rouen, but then I thought I'm not that cruel, so I had a look elsewhere. And I thought about Snetterton, where is its usual home, but I wanted to change that up a bit. So it was a battle between Bannock Bray and Hockenheim. And then I thought, well, at Hockenheim, the Ford's going to have a chance to stretch its legs. Down those big long straights, there's not going to be too much of a difference in terms of straight line speed between the M1 and the Ford. The Ford's a touch slower, obviously. But in terms of skill and stability and drivability, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. And I think hopefully we can get a dry race for that one, because if we do, I think that'll be another slipstream galore battle. I think that'll be another one that's really got the potential to do that. And the stadium section in the classic one is a lot more flatter than it is currently, and it's a bit more forgiving. So I think that'll close the grid up.
After that, we have the second of our returning tracks that have kept their place, which is Zolder. Again, top 4 reverse grid. The first top 4 reverse grid, if I'm correct in looking. Might be wrong. Because obviously we got the Silverstone's a 4 grid reversal.
Yes, I believe off the top of my head, Zolder is. Yes, Zolder is the first of the reverse grids.
Again, we know what Zolder's like. Everything's going to be tight, compact. It's just going to be a good race. Then after that, we head to Whitford's backyard yet again.
I think Rouen's becoming almost a resident of the league. I love the circuit. I know a lot of people don't, and I think that's the reason why it needs to stay, because it's a challenge. It's different to what most people would race on, and I think the BMW has proven to be the best car to race around there, and I think the Mercedes has a little bit too much grip compared to the BMW. I think thanks to its rear spoiler. The Ford, well, nothing like this Ford said, the better. So the BMW is the logical choice. I wouldn't want to race the M1 around there because it's
it's too tight,
too wide, and it's a bit, the track itself, like you said, George, is a bit too tight. So the M3 is the best choice, and so vindication was from last season, considering how good the racing was throughout the field. There's a lot of battles, a lot of crashes. I think it could become a staple, because there's always someone battling with someone at some point.
So after Ruin, which hopefully will have a different winner, although if Whitford does it, he'll be on. Will I be wrong in saying if Whitford wins, is he the only person to win 3 of the same race in
It'd be
3.
4, wouldn't it?
It would be this season, but at current present times, he's got 3 out of 3 on the same circuit in 3 seasons running. Is he the first person to actually do that? I think he might be.
In terms of from a race being new, yes. In terms of consecutive wins, no. I believe Scooby's done it at Brands Hatch. I think I might have done it as well. I think I did it at the Nordschleife 3 seasons in a row. Season 7. Actually, no, that's not true. Actually, no, it wouldn't be. So I think it's just. In fact, I think I'll have to double check that. But at the moment, I'd say he's joint with Scooby. I think.
So if he wins this season at Ruin, he'll become the first person to win
4 in a row.
4 in a row at the same track. Then we head to Britain again and Snetterton 200, which is in the Mercedes.
Nice to be back at Snetterton. We missed. It was another one that had to sacrifice a position from season 13 for the M1, that was a. I don't think it had missed a season for a while. Snetterton. It was usually raced in the Ford. I'm just trying to think back to when the last time Ford, all the Snetterton circuit was missed off the calendar. No, it was a staple from season 4 onwards. That's how far we've got to go back. So first time our season was missed. But it's come back and it's in the Mercedes again. First time since season 10 it's been in the Merc. And I just thought it'd make a nice change to race the Merc. It might be a little bit more stable on the brakes going into under the bridge at Brundle and the final
Nelson and
corner as
Brundle,
well.
yeah. I mean,
there, so.
what's quite nice, and I quite like this judgment, is that it's the 200 circuit, not the 300. Now, as much as the 300 is a good circuit, I always find that the 200 always produces a lot of close action.
And a bit of trivia here for you, Jordan. It's the first track where Scooby got his first ever pole position.
There you go.
And
yeah.
funnily enough, at the corners you mentioned, that's where he threw his Ford off the road.
Standard stuff. That. Onto the penultimate round. Again, another Turbo Monday round at Alton Park Fosters. This one, again, a staple one on the calendar. It's always going to be here. It probably will never leave the calendar as Lee joins us. Good evening.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Yeah, Alton Park Fosters is probably never going to leave the calendar.
No, so long as I'm the host of the Group A ones, it's never going. Simple as that.
So basically, if you don't like Alton Park Fosters, kill Jack.
Pretty much, yeah. I just think Alton Park Fosters is a wonderful circuit for the cars we've got, and I don't just mean that just for the cars we've got. I mean just in general, it's got so much character and charm, and it's a very difficult track to get 100% right. It's that old saying, it's very easy to drive but very difficult to master.
Look at Scooby last season losing the car for Cascades.
And there's always a sketchy moment with back markers. There's always some random variable, and I think Alton Park Fosters is going to be a mega race, as it always is, with it being the second round. Second's the last round of the season.
Now the final round is again at the Nordschleife, and I believe, if I have a look, so I forgot to write it down, it's Merc, or I believe it's
the Mercedes.
It is the Mercedes, yes. So obviously a difference from the Sierra, and I'm assuming that's just because the Sierra is obviously as good as a car it is. It's a very hard one to drive, and the Merc, with it being stable, should produce maybe a bit closer racing in general.
Yeah, I think so. It was you, Jordan, who made the recommendation, but you suggest. Sorry, my bad. My apologies, everyone. We're not in the Mercedes.
We're
We're in
not.
the M1. We're in the M1.
There we go. That's what we're in.
Now, it was funny. We were speaking about this, Jordan, just at
Mm.
the tail end of season 13 about this, and you suggested to pick the. I think it was the BMW, wasn't it? I think you suggested.
It was like the BMW, the Merc, yeah.
One of the two, and I looked at them and I thought that's a good idea. And the Merc, this is why I got confused for a moment, was the Mercedes was originally penciled in, but then I thought the M1 round there could be quite interesting. And so I took a few laps around a few weeks back in the M1. And I thought this is fantastic. It's not easy. It's a little bit of a different challenge to the Ford, especially in the second half of the circuit after the carousel. It can, if you hit a curb wrong, you're going into a wall, but it's a different sort of challenge to the
Mm.
Ford. And at least if you put the power down in the M1, you know you're not going to spear off into a fence or a tree or a spectator like you would do in the Ford. So I just thought, let's have a go. Let's do it. let's have an M1 finale. So we finish as we mean to start.
Yeah, yep. Um, let's have a quick look at the drivers. I say a quick look because most of them are returning anyway. It's obviously yourself being host, Whitford Zero, One High Mofo, Scooby G, Mobius Johnny, Emboy Extreme, Adam Morris, D Whitehouse 7, The Les, Jamie, Liner Greasby, Tim, Royston, Fraser, all returning. One new person on the list at the moment, which is a Team Sco. It's a strong entry list.
It is a strong entry list, and there is wiggle room for one more. I believe there is one driver who did mention to me last season that they're looking to take part this season in the Group A ones, and I know Jordan, you spoke to who we were speaking to about earlier as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I imagine on Monday next week that final slot will be filled, and we'll see. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we can have a full grid. I'm pretty sure we will have a full grid on Monday. I'd be shocked if we didn't.
Mm.
And I do. I'm very excited. Very excited by that
Yeah.
entry list.
I mean, obviously you've got some odds, so who are the top three from your BetJack odds for the championship?
Okay, so I'll explain this to those again for who don't know. I've got a good friend of mine who works quite high up now with David Pluck Bookmakers, and he produces the odds at the start of the season for the drivers taking part in the Next Gen Racing League Group Ace 1 Tours Season 14. And he's produced a list for me this season. I know Jordan has asked me to do the top 3. I'm just going to annoy him and do the top 8 because that's the type of person I am. And this season we've gone up to, I believe, 1,000 to 1. However, I'm doing the top 8, so we won't get that high. But the odds are, as of last Friday, were Scooby G was favourite at 4 to 5. Whitford is currently second favourite at 1 to 1. I'm currently third favourite at 6 to 1. Jamie is fourth favourite at 10 to 1. Adam Morris is fifth favourite at 15 to 1. Sixth favourite, according to the list, is Fraser, bit of a jump up to 40 to 1. Seventh favourite, and this is for the season, bear in mind, is One High Mofo at 50 to 1. And then another jump up to the eighth favourite at 100 to 1, which is the Les.
I think at some point I'll have to sit down and do like a Jack Bet special with you, just for the giggle. So yeah, that's the top 8. So in general, to close off Group A1s, what's your expectations / predictions for the league?
I think we're gonna have someone getting. I think we're gonna have a new entry into the podiums. I'd be surprised. There's a few drivers threatening it. I think there will be a new champion this season. Sorry, Scooby, if you're listening. I know that's a big gamble, but I do think that it will happen just because of the way that the season is structured this time around. I think I'm hopefully going to win a race. To be slightly selfish on that one. But I do believe that I will get a win at least this season. And I think it's time for a couple of drivers to step up. They know who they are. One of them's a seasoned veteran. A couple of others aren't, but they're not exactly fresh faces either. I think they're ready, and we need to do it sooner rather than later. Otherwise, they're going to be stuck in the midfield forever.
There you go. That ends the Group A1's preview. Now, thankfully, we've had Lee join us, which is very good because it was potential that I'd have to listen to Jack all night.
Yes.
Obviously, Lee, you run the modern touring cars and the Clears we'll get onto later. But would you like to introduce the modern touring cars?
Well, yes. We're into the 5th season now, I believe. That'd be right, Jack, I think?
Yep, since season 10.
5th season, yeah, now with the touring cars, so it's the same old traditional modern day touring cars. However, I've attempted to mix it up a little bit to stem the flow of dominance of the Megane. So we've changed things up a bit, which we'll speak about in a minute. And we've already got a full grid with 2 reserves from the sign-ups, which is fantastic news. I was hoping it was going to be as popular as last season. I was turning people away for the second half every race, and we seem to be at that position again. So excited and looking forward to getting my feet and hands stuck into another season with what looks like it's going to be majoritively of the regulars that have raced in the last few seasons together anyway. So
Yeah, obviously you said you're going to try and spice things up, stem the flow of the dominance of that Megane, and that comes in the form of some one-make races, which is pretty much the only change to the format this season.
yes, well, there's 2. There's one of the minor one, but it's really an idea pinched from Jack and how he runs Group A's. In that, I have dictated that for certain rounds we will all use the same car, and thus it won't be the Megane. So 1, it gets everyone driving different cars. 2, it means the Megane's not competing in those particular races. So it should mix it up nicely. If you want, I can give you the rounds with the particular ones. Those that are racing in it are aware of it. Those that aren't. Do you want to do it when you go through the track?
We'll go through the calendar with them, yeah. I've got them all noted down.
Okay.
And the minor change?
Oh, the minor change, which I'm not sure whether you've discussed, because Jack and I agreed we were going to do it at the same round, which is round 5, which occurs on the 6th of May, and that's where we have the as we're calling
as we'll
it,
discuss,
the commentators curse round, which will be very much on a par with the race of winners this past season, just gone, where nobody will know the track until the commentator, Jordan, your good self, will tell us once we're all in the room, and then we get straight into quali. So it's going to be extremely interesting, and yeah, it's going to be quite good fun. I'm sort of quite excited about not knowing what a track's going to be, and the fact that you can pick any track in the game, and I think via common sense you'll be not selecting one that's already on the schedule, so it could be anything within the game. So
yeah, I think we'll talk a bit more about that when we go through the calendar. So good to see different cars being used, but we start off again at Zhuhai, as we did last season. Now, I remember Season 13 Zhuhai was confirmed before we'd pretty much even started Season 12.
yes.
and it's retained its place as the season opener.
Yeah, well, I hadn't really given it opportunity to fall in love with until I was on it in the Race of Winners a couple of seasons back, obviously ago, before the season before it came in, and I said to myself and others who I race with, including Jack and yourself, that that's got to be on the schedule. It's got to be on the calendar. It's really good touring car track. It creates very good battles. And yes, I wasn't sure if it was going to remain for the first round, but as I sort of ended up spanning it out, I thought, why not stick it back in again? It's I had a quick go on it, literally 4 laps, which is all I've done since probably last season on that track in the touring car, and I got up to last season's speed within those 4 laps. So I think everybody will be in the same boat, as in that it's a track that doesn't take too much time to master, and then it's then battle of the skills, which I'm really looking forward to.
It's also quite a nice car balance as well, because obviously BMW win last season. All thanks to Scooby cutting the corner, which he wouldn't have been impressed with. But yeah, it's a nice balance. But speaking of BMWs, we head to Snetterton 300, which has kept its place on the calendar again at round number 2, and the first of the one-make races.
Yeah, indeed. I took advice and opinions from others, mainly Jack, but a couple of others as well, just to help myself decide which rounds I was going to put with which cars. And yes, the first round is an all BMW round at Snetterton 300. Personally, I've not even attempted it yet, so I'm looking forward to having a little run round in practice to see how I fare, albeit speaking to a friend of mine who races in the league, who will remain nameless at this minute. He did say he's been trying the BMW around Snetterton and was 5 seconds off of his pace from last season. So yes, I need to get on there and see if I'm going to be not as good as or as bad as what he is at the moment. I can honestly tell you that he has found some more time now, but he's not up to the pace in the Beamer that he was in the Megane last season just yet.
I'll say one little tidbit, just to move on.
No, you carry on.
From a fact that I remember. The first podium for the BMW came at Snetterton 300 in season 10. Bleak 55 got 2 second places and 2 pole positions in that BM against them again.
Yes, he was the BM was quite a weapon in his hands, if I remember rightly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all good, thanks, Jack, the encyclopedia of NXTGEN. Well, it's handy to have, really. I mean, he records stuff, I think most of us forget.
Yeah, the thing is, he's slightly bigger than an encyclopedia. You can't really put him in your bag.
You could tempt him into a white van with some candy, though.
Yeah, it'd have to be a high-top Transit, though, to be fair. Anyway, moving on.
In round number 3, again, in the BMW, round Watkins Glen.
Yeah, it's funny because I chose my track list, and then the car's decision came after, and so if I'd planned it better, I wouldn't have put 2 BMW rounds one after the other. However, that's how it's panned out. I'm not really worried about it. And Watkins Glen is another really cool track that you can have some good battles on. And I think spicing it up, because so little people in the championship have used the Beamer anyway, I think we're all going to be in the same boat. There's only 1 or 2 that have, and well, that's it's not fair to punish them just because they've driven the BMW in the past. So it's going to be, it is what it is. They'll be favourites for the round. The rest of us are hopefully going to have a fun battling time with the Beamer around a good track.
I guess it also allows the people that have driven the BMWs, obviously, it's fair to say if you were in a BMW last season, you weren't going to win the title, but this season, if you do pick it for your open car rounds, you do have that chance, because these 3 rounds in the BMW and other cars really do mix the grid up, and you can gain the points you lose during the season.
Yeah, and if you are a BMW driver, historically, you could be off on a very strong foot at the beginning of the season.
We head then to Donington National, again, a track that has retained its place in the calendar. Open choice. It's just a fantastic track. I mean, there's no two ways about it.
Yeah, where would we be without Donington? Any of the UK tracks, to be honest with you, I think the majority of us are. Excuse me, while my wife just entered the room. Even again. Yeah, I think for all of us, we're all big touring car fans. That's why we race these cars, and we wouldn't have it any other way without the UK tracks. Donington's one of the favourites and the classics. Always creates drama and immense battles. So yeah, it's one of those tracks. Like Jack was saying with the Old Park Fosters, it will never be off the calendar. It'll always be on it.
Now we head to round 5, which, as you have explained, is the commentator's curse round, which I get to rub my hands very evilly and laugh at your despair. Obviously, having all been explained, what I'm questioning, I asked the same to Jack. His answer was not quite what I was expecting, but it was a good one. Why have you implemented it?
Why have I implemented it? Just to be different, to involve and maybe minorly reward the efforts that your good self put in to have a little bit more of influence and impact on a small element of the championship. So yeah, that's probably it, to be honest with you.
Because I remember when we were talking about it, we were literally just joking about it, and then also I saw the calendar, I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting.
Well, wasn't it yourself that actually suggested it in jest?
Yeah.
If I'm right in saying.
Yeah,
well, as soon as you said it, I sort of kind of liked the idea. And so I just sort of ran with it. but then, to be honest with you, as I just said, I'm not one to repeat myself. It does bring you a little bit more into the involvement of the whole thing. You know, you sat there, you're watching us all race. I know you love racing yourself. You know, you put in all the effort in to stream it, to commentate on it, and I hope it makes you feel a bit, even more integrated or involved with the championship, even though you're not racing it. If you know what I mean. So,
no, it is nice.
Yeah, so and you get to, you could throw a right curveball at us all, albeit not a rally track. But anyway, I will say that. But but you could throw a big curveball at us, which we're all gonna probably relish at the excitement and then drama that it's gonna cause.
No,
Classic spot.
No, it is nice. I mean, it is nice to. I don't like saying it, but we're being rewarded with it. It is quite a nice gesture, which is why I'm going to be very evil. Going on to round number 6, we head to Silverstone GP, which is a change of layout. 'Cause normally we're on the national circuit because it's Turbo Monday day.
Well, yes, I'm not sure, and obviously those that are just tuning in that haven't listened to the Group A, should you have explained it, but Turbo Mondays are the time where the Group A's, the TCC and the Clios hit the same track. However, they hit the different layouts of the same track. So I believe that Jack and I have manipulated our schedule so that he will be on Classic Silverstone at round 6 on the 13th of May.
That's spot on.
The TCCs are doing the Grand Prix circuit, and the Clios with MB, which we'll talk about a little later on as well, will be on the national circuit. So Turbo Mondays are basically Monday Night Tourers hit the same tracks, but hit different layouts.
Just before we move on, I'm still debating an idea of an additional little reward on a Turbo Monday. Maybe in the form of a fastest lap point or something.
Yeah, that's for us to discuss, I suppose. Because I mean, you and I have discussed fastest lap points before in the past, and not fully agreed but not been worried, just had interesting discussions.
Yeah.
So yeah, perhaps we'll address something on within maybe some additional reward on a Monday for
For the Turbo
performances or
Mondays, yeah.
yes, yeah, not necessarily the whole lot, but yeah, perhaps that could be a late
A little
announcement
extra
before we start on
incentive,
Monday.
yeah.
Yeah,
We'll see.
okay. How many Turbo Mondays do we have? I think we've got
4.
around. Yes,
6,
we'll move
7,
into
11, and 12.
6, 7, 11, 12. Yes. So in which case, moving on from. Unless there's any more you wanted to say about the Silverstone round, Jordan?
No, I think we've pretty much covered all bases on that one, because we then head to Hockenheim GP.
Yes, that'll be 2 weeks later because we have the half-time break where NXTGEN may have some either charity events or some one-off team-v-team races or some fun social racing or something or other. We have a 1 week half-time break starting from the 20th of May. And then that, as like you say, Jordan, that moves on to round 7 on the 27th of May, which is another Turbo Monday, wasn't it?
Yep.
It was indeed. So the Group A tourers will be running at the classic Hockenheim. The modern day tourers will be on the Grand Prix circuit, and the Clios will be on the short circuit, albeit for the modern day TCC we will be all running in the BMW.
Yep.
For the third and final time.
Yes, yeah. The final BMW, which means the people with the BMW advantage, that's where it kind of runs out, and the season then, almost like the character building part of the season begins.
Indeed.
After Hockenheim, we head to Brands Hatch GP, and again another one make in the Mercedes.
Yes, this is the first single make round for the Merc, because I was decided to split the layouts with the Clios when it's not a Turbo Monday. I think it's for the first time, if I can recall.
I think it is.
I've put the Tourers on the Grand Prix circuit. I don't normally do it, I normally leave them on the Indies because that's as per the first round of the British touring cars. But I've normally stuck with that, but because I've decided to split them down with the Clios, that's why they're on the Grand Prix and the Clios will be on the Indy.
After that, we go to a returning circuit, and one of my personal favourites on the game, to be honest, Ruapuna Park. It's a fantastic circuit.
Yeah, I remember the first season that we did, which was season 10, and that was also the first season that I put the track in my championship. And I had a few comments actually, like people didn't think it was a touring car track and they didn't like it so much, and I seemed to settle with it really quickly, and so I had a very successful double header round there.
You won both races in pole.
Yeah, so it sort of I was a bit overwhelmed afterwards that I'd actually been so successful. But and it's always from that point onwards been a real enjoyable drive round there. Albeit I've never been as successful as that first season 10 when I've gone back in past seasons or subsequent seasons afterwards. Sorry, but it's a cracking touring car track in my eyes.
Well, if anyone says it's not touring car track, they're wrong, because I can take I've raced an LMP2 round there, and even that's enjoyable. It's again a track you can't really go wrong at, although you can make a lot of mistakes because it's not the widest circuit.
No, in places it's a little bit narrow, but then it's not as narrow as Alton, and we all love Alton, so it's not too bad.
After Ruapuna, we've got another track which has kept its place, albeit further down the order this time. Fuji, which
this actually turned out to be my last track choice, and again I sort of took it upon myself to ask some opinions, because while us league hosts, series hosts, managers, whatever you want to call us, make the decisions and put the things together and run it, I like to get people's thoughts and opinions and do things not just all the way that I'd think that I should be doing it or think that it should be. And to be honest, it wasn't my choice. I had 3 down for this last slot, but after speaking to a couple of 3 people, including obviously Jack and some others. Fuji was the decision, and like I say, that wasn't mine, but I do like Fuji, and I've started to come to like it a lot more because I've started to drive it more. I didn't really used to drive it very much. So yeah, I think it deserves its place there.
What would you say hi to Scooby G, who said hi weirdos? You're not wrong. Yeah, I mean,
Hello, Jeff.
at the end of the day, I mean, if people who are racing it aren't happy, then you won't keep the numbers, and ultimately that's the goal, really, isn't it? Is keep the numbers, because that's what makes the league.
Yeah, well, I've thankfully, and I'm touching my wooden table here, I've never had any problems with the numbers. It's always been really popular, and long may it continue. I mean, I have aspirations, and every time I mention it, I get shot down because it's not worked in the past. But I've got aspirations to have more than one room, and have have two rooms, and then in which case run two tiers where you have promotion and
relegation
from say a pro to an am or a League 1 to League 2 or whatever it is, however it's set out, tier 1, tier 2, sorry. But it's the problem with it, and it's a genuine one, and Jack brings me back down to reality with a bump every time I sort of start chirping on about it again, saying about it's not really fair when the stragglers drop out, and then you have the keen ones that are still left, but in room 2, and there's only 3 of them. And so I've not ventured to the second room. Anyway, I'm going off on a bit of a tangent. The numbers are good, and long may they retain to do so.
Now the penultimate round, Turbo Monday, comes around again. Alton Park GP, which hasn't been on the calendar for all of the modern touring cars, or at least a long period.
Correct. It's never been on there because I've always been a true follower of, again, the relationship back to the passion of the BTCC. So I've always tried to run, as if it's the touring car championship. So it's always been the island. So, but on the grounds of what we've sort of changed a little bit, 1, to spice it up, 2, to keep it interesting, 3, the involvement of those that race in all 3 championships. We've done a Turbo Monday, so we'll have Alton Park Fosters for the Group A's, the Grand Prix circuit for the Tourers, and the Island circuit for the Clios.
Now this one also a single making the Mercedes, so everyone on level ground, and although it's like Jack's home race, there's no way he can just stroll off in the distance with his... Well, in fact, actually, to be honest, last season no one can really stroll away because most people were in the same car anyway. But it does mean that the pack will be at the same advantages as everyone else, which it's good to see.
Yeah, I think round a track like Alton as well, it should make it really interesting, because I mean it's highly competitive when there's been mixed cars and things. Not there's been a mass mix, but yeah, I think stick us all in the same car and not with mass experience. I don't think there's anyone in the championship that's regularly driven a Merc anyway, albeit it shouldn't be too difficult to pick up, I'm sure, but yeah, it should be interesting.
Then the final round comes in the form of Nürburgring again, the GP loop, because again it's a Turbo Monday night. Again in the Merc, so it's an all Merc back end to the season. And again, it's another circuit that just constantly provides potential overtakes and potential mishaps.
Yeah, it's really taken the emphasis off the Megans, the finish to this season, with the final 2 rounds being Merc rounds. Again, wasn't intentional. The car choices came after the track choices, so perhaps maybe could have been better spread. But at the same time, I'm thinking actually that's not a bad thing. The Megans have been so dominant, such a dominant vehicle used as well across since season 10, that I don't see it as a bad thing. And yes, we're being a Turbo Monday. We have the three genres finishing their final round of season 14 on the same track but with a different layouts. So I don't think again the touring cars have actually been on the GP circuit ever, so it'll be a a new addition with the extra couple of longer straights.
Yeah, they've only been on the short.
Have any been on? In fact, yeah, just trying to think.
I don't believe them being on the. I remember
Yeah.
them definitely being on the short, but they've not been on the GP.
No, I think you're right. Yeah. So we've got. I was picturing another blooming track in my head. No, yeah, they definitely haven't. You're right. So, I mean, and last season showed it was a great finish last season.
Hmm.
Around there. So that's going to be really good, I think.
Now, let's have a quick look at the entry list. Obviously, as you said, 4 lobby plus 2 reserves, which is very, very good. Just having a look down, I've got yourself, Jamie FL30, D White House 7, Web User Johnny, Envoy Extreme, The Les, Tim, Whitford, MLV, Scooby G, who's watching, Roy, Jack, Fraser, Shadowstalker, the now full-time Race of Winners champion, is coming along for a full season in Boy Reactor 14, and Tro, I think 247, if I remember correctly.
Yes, correct.
With reserves of Adam Morris in the reserves list, and Dave Finn.
Yeah, I'm a bit gutted with regards to Adam. He quite simply just signed up after everyone else did, and I sent him a private message telling him how gutted I was for the fact that he didn't get in, and that he's there. And to be fair, he was fine about it. He's obviously down as first reserve, and there'll be no doubt either one occasions where he'll get to come in, or maybe some dropouts. However, I look at that list, and out of all those names there's not really many names there that turn up and then drop out. So I don't know how often the reserves are going to get in. There is also another reserve that I've got who isn't on Facebook, but he's on the PSN network, put through to me from Phil through the website, who's a 3rd reserve. So, like I say, it's very popular. It's a cracking lineup.
It's very strong.
It's immense. And with the addition of now a full-time, 4-time Race of Winners champion, I know who my money would be on for this new season.
Tim.
My money's gone on Whitford.
My money's on Tim. You never know.
I'll take your money on Tim, Jordan.
Who says I'm betting any money? But no, it's very strong outlook, and with Boy Raxus there, I mean, most would say it's quite a scary time now with the fact that he's decided, you know what, because we know in the past he's done some of the odd races and he's been up there all the time. Now 4 times, and I can't stress this, 4 times in a row. It's not even 4 times, it's 4 times in a row he's done this for the Race of Winners. I mean, but it still doesn't strike any fear into anyone. It's quite incredible.
No, well, to be fair to Benji, I mean, it's unprecedented. It's record-setting, because it's not like he's breaking records. He's made the record, because I don't think there was ever any more than one, and now he's gone.
Jim done it twice.
Person. Oh, did Jim do it twice? Oh, fair play to Jim then. So obviously Jim did twice, but come along and obviously smashed out the park with 4 at the minute. Then obviously himself and Jim are the 2 record holders as it stands. However, yes, we've all raced against Benji. We know he's good, and at the same time, I think at certain tracks in a touring car, we can compete with him, and we've already done that, and some of us have beaten him. So I don't
we
think
saw this last season, didn't we?
Yeah,
we saw this last season with Scooby at Watkins Glen, and I was able to fend them off at Donington. It's not impossible to beat him. You just have to be at, I wouldn't say at your best, but you have to be on your game.
Yep.
You can't put a foot wrong. And I think to be honest with you, I think this is a good thing that he's joined, because it's going to improve the top guys even more, because they now have that benchmark to go, we've got to beat him.
Yeah, too right. But then again, and to be fair to everybody else, who are also highly skilled, we think that about all of the others. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, let's not take away from old Jeffrey sat in there listening to us, and he's a formidable force, and he's always there, and he's just as feared as Benji is. I mean, I think in respect of, we talk about Benji and he's a 4-time consecutive Race of Winners champion. I think you'll find that Jeff holds the record for the most amount of championships won, full stop, across the board. He's won more championships than I can count on 2 hands. I think it's crazy.
You've only got 8 fingers.
Yeah, that's right. But yeah, it's a mega lineup. There's multiple champions in the room, and a lot of people that are up and coming as well. You know, I see Dave Whitehouse. He's been racing in some other leagues. Actual Vision, I saw him winning some of the touring car races. He's been entering with them, watching their streams, and you know, just seeing some of the other guys coming through. Harry's getting quicker and quicker all the time, albeit he keeps changing his name more times than the D-Pole office on Facebook. So I'm not quite sure who he's going to turn up as this time, but anyway.
Well, you just have to say inside the room with a real Harry, please stand up.
Yeah, so no, I'm proper buzzing again, and to be honest, I say every time the break between seasons, yeah, I'm going to get on loads, I'm going to have lots of fun races, going to do this, do that.
You've not done one lap, have you?
Time disappears. I've not even been on once a week. I'm on less than one a league race, and I was like, I just can't wait for the league to start again, because I know it's regular, and then you know you're coming on, because the rest of the time it's just frustrating as it can be that you know, we've had 4 weeks off and I've been on not 4 times. It's daft. Anyway.
I think the other thing as well about this season is, just to add on to Lee, is that there is a potential, because of that new list, is that the entry list is that you could have a 5th new champion in as many seasons.
Yeah.
Obviously, Lee in season 10, Gary season 11, season 12 was Fraser. Last season was Jeff. So season 14, not impossible to have a new champ.
Yeah. There's no double champ yet, so, and there could be a new one.
Yeah. Yeah. No one's been able to defend their title, which is an incredible curse.
Yes.
Sorry, Jeff, mate.
So, your predictions, expectations, and for the modern touring cars?
I think everyone's got a chance.
It's the most middle of the road answer.
Yeah, no, I'm not, yeah, sorry, it's the wine talk. Honestly, I've already mentioned him. Obviously, I think joint favourites are Jeff and Benji. However, snapping at their heels is going to be Jamie and Jack and me and Josh and Harry and everybody else. They've all got potential. The mid-pack guys have been improving over the last couple of seasons, and you never know what's going to happen. So it's extremely hard to predict. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, I think it will be a good one. I've got a few ideas in my head as well, but we'll see.
And what's even better is for the Group A ones in the modern touring cars, people can watch it live as the race goes, which I'm looking forward to.
People can follow the whole season with both of those 2 championships, and should they wish, follow your season in the Clios to make it a hat trick of viewing on a Monday night. And
it's free.
Oh yeah, there's no subscriptions here. You don't have to pay anything. Yeah.
No, it's completely free. Turn up, just say hello, and that's good enough. But yeah, it's going to be good. So if you are listening, unless Jack has bored you to death with some stats, or you're tired of Ginge or me, yeah, it's all these races are going to be live. All you have to do, links go up into the NXTGEN page. Yeah, just on the YouTubes. It's going to be a cracking one to watch. There's no doubt. But we go on to the final part of the evening, which is the Clios.
Yes, the Clios indeed. Well, we covered a few little bits while talking during the touring car round, but the Clios continue from as they have from last season. I love the Clios. I drove the Clios back in Pre-Cars 1 and then had a massive break due to just not driving them, as we know and we've talked about in previous interviews, and they've come back and they're here to stay really. They're so much fun and they're not easy to drive, they take a bit of skill, and so it's rock and roll for this would be the second or third season now, I'm just trying to think.
This is in his third, I believe.
Third, yeah, so third season in a row since I dropped the double TCC and brought the Clios in. And I think it was a good decision because the variants of a different car, and they're still a touring car. I mean, I know it might seem odd to some people that I run the Clios after the Taurus, but the Taurus have always been the main event, so I've never even considered swapping them around, to be honest. Nobody's ever suggested it, so I've just always left it as it is. But and I think it's quite cool actually like that. But
well, not only that, but if the touring cars were after, they wouldn't get commentated on, to be honest.
Well, that's true, which is not been a consideration. And if I'd suggested I was going to turn them around, I'm sure you'd have told me, and I'd have gone, "I actually no, we won't." So yeah, but no, another Clio season ahead, and the sign-up's pretty popular. There is, if anyone's listening, a couple of spots left. I've just had a sign-up in the last couple of days, but we'll quickly run through that as you're ready, Jordan.
Yeah, well, obviously there's no format change at all. I mean, there's none needed for these cars. Let's be honest, it's pretty much as good as it gets. The 5-minute qualifying, randomising grids since day one, and about a 20-minute race. I mean, you can't really change a lot. Format of these cars.
The one minor tweak that's happened, but it's as a result of what Jack and I have done with the Turbo Mondays, and then as a consequence of a roll-on, I thought I'd do it for the whole schedule, the whole list of tracks, the whole calendar, is that the Clios will be always only be on the short tracks. So I think that's going to make a small difference because it will help the qualifying, because you'll get a couple more laps in, obviously because they're a slightly slower car. And it's going to be intense. So yes, while the format's exactly the same, there is a minor change in that. We're on short tracks only, which I think is quite cool for the Clios.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of tracks, obviously again, starting off as Zhuhai, good quality track for these cars. And I remember Zhuhai because I was battling Scooby G. And we went 3 wide down into turn 1, which is quite good. Last season.
Yeah, no, I'm just recalling, and I actually can't think of a bad track with the Clios because of the nature of the racing car that it is. You can take them anywhere, apart from snow and dirt, but well maybe, but anyway, and you're gonna have a good race. So again, I think Zonai will be immense fun. Now we've had a round under our belts from last season. I think it's going to be pretty good.
Snetterton 200, round number 2, obviously the middle version of Snetterton, because you can't use the 100 on the basis there's no pit lane.
Yeah.
But again, 200, a very nice circuit for these cars, should produce some good slipstream, especially.
Yeah, I never considered the 100 to be honest with you, but I think with the 200, and it's like a big loop with some dodgy end corners at either end of it. When I say dodgy for the Clio, when you back. But yeah, I think that race is going to be even more intense than others, purely for that, like say the slipstream element up and down the two sides, main sides of the track. So yeah, it's going to be big fun, nice.
Then round 3, Watkins Glen Short, and again another fantastic circuit, unless you're on controller, which I Hi. Which I found out very quickly. But no, it's a good track, and a lot of mistakes can be made with this because the back end of the Clio isn't exactly the most stable, and especially with this track, the long curves and corners can make the back end kind of unsettled if you don't quite get it right.
Yes, it's quite a skilled driver track in these cars, and it's a delicate balance of what should we say, left foot braking and power, and the application of sometimes both at the same time to keep the car balanced, and a lot of corrective steering and feel, really good feel. It helps having good peripherals on a track like that. When I say it helps, it doesn't make you better, but it helps, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. After Watkins, we head to Donington National, which, again, we've already discussed, you can't go wrong, especially in Clios. Then round number 5. Now, we've had commentators curse for Group A1s, modern touring cars. Now, there's no commentator for Clios because obviously I race in them. So, why is it included in the Clios, or is it just purely to mirror the calendar of the modern touring cars?
I'm going to give you the funny version here.
I'd like a funny version.
So brace yourself, or don't brace yourself. Basically, I'm a dick, and I didn't actually think it's true. See, I told you it was funny. Yeah, no, I didn't think that one through. So hence, there's no commentator to put a curse on it. So now you've mentioned it, I'm thinking I might have to put a twist on things and maybe bring in another commentator for that round.
I'm thinking we could ask head honcho.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm thinking, mate. So this is a wait and see what happens, but the plan, as thought up literally in the last 20 seconds, is there might be another commentator involved for that round.
I'll make sure I've got a backup track for you. It's fine.
No. Unfortunately, you can't do that because you're participating. No. So yeah, it'll be something else. It won't be me. It won't be you. It won't be Jack. And whether it's we actually have a commentator and they choose it, or I get Phil to come in the room and announce it. One way or the other, nobody will know, and it will be the same principle as the other 2 rounds, as in it's an unknown track until the night. And thanks for pointing out that I'm a dick.
No worries. You said it, not me.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Well, that's bloody ruined my round number 5.
You shouldn't have said anything.
Yeah, I know.
Just out of interest, what would you have picked?
Well, I was kind of thinking...
No, don't answer that. Don't.
I was thinking of going round Daytona Oval, to be honest.
What, in a Clio?
You know, have a 16-car NASCAR race in Clio. I mean, I think that'd be pretty fun.
That actually could be very
sounds
interesting.
really awesome, yeah.
Yeah.
No, to be honest, I've had different tracks in my mind, and because when it was initially announced, I was kind of looking at tracks whereby it would mirror the season, so the season calendar for the Clios and the modern touring cars, whereby I use a bigger variant for the touring cars and a smaller variant for the Clios. But obviously that's not in my hands. That's up to Phil, which I will bribe later. Round number 6 before the effectively half-time break. Silverstone National, again, it's quality circuit for these cars. You're always going to have action all the way around.
Yeah, it always makes me buzz when I go to Silverstone National in a touring car, no matter which touring car it is, whether it's the old classic Group A's, A1s, moderns, or the Clios. I love it, and it does nothing but bring massively close racing. It's very much like Brands Indy. You go to qualifying at Brands Indy, you go to qualifying at Silverstone National, and literally the top, anything from 8 to 15, are always literally less than a second to each other, and the top 5 are within like tenths and thousands. It's just brilliant because it breeds close racing. So yeah, I can't wait for that one.
After the half-term break, effectively, we go to Hockenheim Short. Now, I'm going to try and clarify this one. Is that the smallest one, or is that going to be the national one with the earlier double 90 right?
That's a really good question, Jordan.
Please be the short one. Please be the just for the
Oh,
memories.
Jack, you've ruined it now, because you do know it's like, don't press the button, so I'm going to press it. Do you know what I mean? It's that psychological thing. You're asking for something, so I now want to do the opposite. You've ruined it. You shouldn't have said anything. I'm not going to decide at this moment in time. Again, being a bit of a donkey, I've not thought that one through, and in fact, I'm going to look at it. I'm in front of my wheel right now, so I'm bringing up the tracks to see. But foolishly, and I do apologise, I should be better organised, but I don't actually know. So if we look here, you've got Hockenheim Short, which has got the, like you say, the double right-hander.
Yeah,
So
you go down the
not-
back straight. Instead of going to the hairpin, you go right.
That's the...
Yeah, you go right, but it's not a double right-hander because it's the right-hander, then it's got that little kink left, and then the right that brings you back then into the complex, then right and
Yeah,
right
no,
again.
that's the really short one.
That is short, and the other one
That's Hockenheim
is
Short.
national. You got Hockenheim National is the one where you go down the parabolica into the double 90 right before you reach the hairpin. The short is the really short one.
Yeah, do you know what? I'm looking at this now, and I'm thinking the national might be better than the short. And also, that goes against what Jack just said.
I only
I'll tell
want
you
it on
what.
for the memories. That's all it is.
The thing is, the memories I remember of the short track is just crashing with everyone in that section where you go right, left, right, and then into the complex. Plus the fact you come in herring down there, and that fast left-hander is just chaos with a loose back end, especially when your rear tyres are just warming up. So yeah, that's. I might leave that one open. I might put it to a vote to everyone in the all on the morning of the race. I might put up a vote to all entrants asking which one they want, and the majority. I might go with a majority to keep it diplomatic. We'll see.
Ends up being 8-8.
Yeah. And then in that case, I'll ask the missus. I'll just get her to pick one because she has no clue as to what is either track anyway. And she'll probably say something silly like Birmingham.
Turn up, eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
Yeah.
After Hockenheim, whichever version it is, shorter than the GP, put it that way.
Yes.
Brands Hatch Indy, again, it's another classic British touring car track, and these cars are actually very difficult to drive around it because of that back end, especially over Paddock Hill and going through 30s.
Let's be honest, they're a complete pig round there. However, let me rephrase that. They can be a complete pig round there if you're not on form with driving it round there, and it takes a bit of practice to get it right. I found round there you're left foot braking and accelerating and trying to balance and counter steering all 3 and 4 items all at the same time. It's really technical with that car for what is quite a simple track. Yeah, it's going to be it's going to be an interesting one. I've personally not been particularly quick round there or particularly successful in the Clio, but always had good fun. So, what about you, Jack?
I really enjoyed Brands Hatch. I was first over the line last season, but I had a penalty to drop behind Gary in the end, but I still scored points because he was for the bonus of Philip. I really like the Clio round there. I really enjoy it. It was
it's enjoyable, but it's challenging, isn't it?
Lots of car control involved, I find, around Brands Hatch.
Yeah.
I think I think because of the way the car is, it just sort of suits my left foot braking type of driving that I like, which is probably why I got on with the Clio so well last season. It's because it is quite, what's the word I'm looking for, reactive.
Yeah.
And I think that's just probably why I found it. I wouldn't say easy, but maybe easier than most other tracks.
Hmm.
Mm. Yeah, fair enough.
After Brands, we go to Ruapuna, which I remember very well from season 12. Because it was the race that I got to surprise everyone. Because it was round number 12, and I got a top 5 with a controller. Which, yeah,
Six for the controller.
no, 5th round Ruapuna, 6th around Nürburgring.
I've got the data here.
Well, you're looking
You
at the
can't
wrong
beat Stato,
date.
Jordan. Come on.
I can this time.
I've got Scooby winning the race. I've got Jamie in second. I've got Jim third. I've got Fraser fourth. Myself fifth because you were catching me. That I definitely remember. And I've got you in
Was
sixth.
I? Oh, I might mean 6th. Oh, you bastard.
You've ruined it. You've ruined it.
You've ruined my moment. That's it. I'm gone. So, well, it was still a nice surprise anyway.
It was your first top 6, and that was a
You
really
did well,
good
mate. You did well, yes.
You know, and I remember that season so well because you two got so surprised at the way I drove the car. When I remember your reactions when we were sat down at, I think it was the season 12 review, and I suddenly said, obviously you both knew I was on the controller, and then I said I used the directional pad button.
Mm.
And I remember both your reactions like, what the hell? It was quite funny. Very memorable. But yeah, Ruapuna, obviously, good memories for me. And it's again, another good track for these Clios. And it suits the Clio quite nicely because the back end moves and the corners are quite tight. So you can actually square every corner up.
I'm quite looking forward to going back to Ruapuna because, not for me, because I don't necessarily like the circuit, but one driver who's normally in the lower reaches of the top 10 who runs quite well around there is Royston.
Mm.
Because he finished 4th in the TC League there a few seasons back. I think it's 4th or 5th. Definitely qualified quite high. I'd like to see how he gets on with a bit more, because the last time I went to Ruapuna wasn't really fair because he literally just joined for the last round. But I think with half a season or so under his belt, I think he could go quite well around there. Quite like to see that.
Well, Royston,
Yeah.
do you know what? Me and him, we talk daily. We talk daily about what's going on and what's going on, this, that, and the other. Obviously, he's a warehouse manager downstairs. We work in the same place. He's been there 30 years. I've been there 10. And we have the banter all the time because dear of him, I obviously give him a bit of stick for being a bit slower than me, as you do. But at the same time, I always try and encourage and give him pointers and this, that, and the other. And when we have come around each other's places, obviously when our missus got together drinking wine and whatever, and we jump on the wheel and try and help him out, sort of thing. And he's been improving and improving, and he's got to that point now where he wants to move on to the next stage of improvement, but he's not quite finding it. And I think it's just around the corner that he'll find that next stage again. And I'm really hoping it's that next step's going to come with this new season.
I've just looked, as you've said that, and it was 6th and 7th back when we ran 2 rounds of the TCCs. That's what he got, 6th and 7th.
They were pretty successful rounds for him then, aren't they?
Yeah.
Those two. Or more
I think his 6th is the best result he's ever had.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm hoping he takes the next step again, because I know he puts the time in, and he's a good bloke. He's a really nice chap, and he deserves to find that next sort of step up of pace.
Mm.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, me and Royston have had battles in the Clios. I mean, fantastic. Yeah, really good to race with, no doubt about it. After Ruapuna, we then head to Japan and Fuji, which I missed last season. So I don't know how it went.
I remember
Well, your
how it
memory's
went.
better than mine, Jack.
I remember how it went. It was a 3-4 way scrap for first place, which I managed to beat Jeff. Sorry, not Jeff, Jamie in the end. We had another driver battling with us who's no longer with the league also battling, and Slide Gas got a podium as well in that race. So it was a big mix. Lee got a stupid penalty in the TCC race as well at the same time. And Martin was also right on it. I think it was really close. It was dependent on the slipstream. So I think there was like 5 cars at the front, and it was a mid pack, and then there was scattered at the back. I think there was a crash earlier on in the race, and that was how the race played out. A couple of people made mistakes, dropped back, and the slipstream was really, really powerful around Fuji. And I think it will be chaos again. Would I like another race win? Yes, please. Fuji.
Well, you had a very successful season last season, Jack, let's be honest, so confidence should and must be high.
No.
No, it's not high. I mean, I'm returning. I mean, why would his confidence be high? Yeah. Fuji is one of those ones. I really enjoy Fuji. I mean, I was kind of gutted that I missed it after obviously my issues, shall we call them, had kind of faded a little bit. Because I always remember, because I wasn't quite myself in the next 2 rounds after that. As obviously you two would know. But yeah, it's a racetrack I'm looking forward to this season, especially if I can do what I'm planning on doing for the clears this season. Which is trying to get on the wheel again, trying to get on the wheel as much as possible and hopefully up the pace. But after Fuji, we head to Alton Park, and one of my favourite race tracks in the island circuit. Very technical, very hard to overtake. I mean, the grid position is key around Alton Park.
Yeah, it is and it isn't. But albeit, yes, it's a difficult track to get past. But at the same time, I think if we all know the track really well, we all go around there a lot, and I think while the opportunities are slim, there still are opportunities. There still is chance. We're going to be on the same layout that we had last season, because obviously the tours are moving to the full circuit, not the full circuit. I've even forgotten what it's called now, but the larger layout, the GP. So we all know what this layout is, and while it's narrow, I don't think that in the past, as it's well shown from the streams, none of us were afraid to stick it up the inside of a narrow bit of track anyway. So yes, I see where you're coming from, and you are right, but at the same time, I'd quite happily sort of argue the point that doesn't stop us, does it?
No, and I will apologise because I keep going back to stuff that I've done in the clears, because I find them so much fun. When I overtook Jeff round Alton Park, coming up to the hairpin before you get to the chicane, I remember being about 2 car lengths back, burying the brakes as late as I could, and yeah, finished him off down in the chicane. It was brilliant. I remember because Phil was commentating on that race, because it was the Silverstone 100th race that week as well.
Same week. And I had the loneliest race up front.
Yeah, I had quite an eventful race in that one. A lot of battling.
Lee got pole that race as well.
You did, yeah.
Second.
Yeah.
But fluffed the start, which is what you need to make work on, buddy.
Yeah.
Get that clutch working, buddy.
Let's be
It's
honest.
not so much the clutch, it's more well, actually it is, yeah.
But let's be honest, if I'm
with combination with accelerator, but yeah, sorry, go on, John.
No, I was going to say, let's be honest, if I'm on the controller, no one's got a faster start than I have.
No, it's true.
It's only because I cheat using automatic gears. Um, no, it should be an interesting race, and it could end up being a very big factor in the championship because you make one mistake around Alton Park and you're down near the back. It's quite hard to fight back through. So it's definitely a race you can't be you can't lose concentration.
Well, no, because everyone's on it. You make the mistake and no one else does, and that's it. Like you say, it's only if everyone makes a mistake, it's not so bad. But that doesn't happen in racing. It's only the odd one or two that make the mistakes, and everyone else has a good race. So.
On to the finale, and Nürburgring Short is back for the Clios, which is good news because it's a great track, and also my nemesis all at the same time. But yeah, again, a good race, and I remember, I believe it was it this track I gave you a lovely bit of, oh no, it was no, that was Monza. You gave me a lovely bit of slipstream in qualifying, I remember this, Lee.
Me? Oh yes.
Yeah, you returned the favour after I helped you at Monza that season.
Yes.
God, I remember starting third on the grid. I was like really happy. But I mean, I think this race last season was very good ultimately because the championship had been decided. No one really had anything. I say not had anything. Everyone has something to gain, but because the championship was decided, that kind of fortitude was gone, and everyone was just going right. I want the best result possible, and we had some really big upsets in positions.
We did.
No. I can't remember. Was it Jack won it in the end? Can't
Come on,
remember.
Jack, give us stats.
Come on, Jack, stat man.
What, just the Nürburgring Short?
Yeah, I can't remember exactly who won.
Scooby won.
Scooby won. There we
Jamie
go.
was second and I was third.
I remember
At
because
that point, I'd already wrapped the championship up, so I was just trying to get podiums.
I remember because you had a little bit of an incident at the chicane.
Yes.
Because I was leading,
No.
bunching everyone up.
Yes, sorry, that one. And I was very angry trying to charge back through to a podium.
Like a ball in the china shop.
So just about did.
Yeah, I remember that because I got off the line, got into the lead, and fucking held everyone up for about 3 laps, being a complete Karun Chanduk moving chicane.
That's a bit harsh on Karun Chandok.
He was in a HRT, let's be honest.
I said in the rain car to Cain, but
to be honest,
Cucumber himself.
You could say Lance Stroll as well, to be fair. I mean, the list goes on.
What, current?
No, just go. I disagree, just for the record, I disagree, but go on, carry on.
No, I mean...
He's not watching, you know.
You probably ought to get some racing tips, you never know.
No, I'm a fan, I'm sorry, I am. That's it.
Racing tips. That's cheeky.
That's really clever, actually.
I think this is an argument for tomorrow. No, it created a lot of... I mean, Dave Whitehouse, he was on the pace, along with Johnny, in season 13.
Oh, Johnny was fantastic, wasn't he?
Johnny was brilliant.
In the Clios.
He ended up hounding me, like... I ended up making a slight mistake, and he was on the back of me, and I just couldn't shake him. It was incredible. The pace turnaround he had at this final round.
I'm really looking forward to Johnny for his first full season, because he did a half season and we didn't quite get to see everything of him. But I think he could be comfortably in the mid-pack
Without doubt.
season. And he was very, very difficult to overtake at Nürburgring. So if he can get it, get off his rustiness for the first round, I think he could be a good racer. I think top 5 is possible. Definitely.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And I've had the joys of seeing Johnny a bit more than you guys, because obviously he raced in the Ginettas, which I commentate on Competing. So yeah, I've seen a lot more of Johnny, and yeah, without a doubt, especially in these Clios, I think he could be a bit of a dark horse for those top 5 places. And dare I say, if the top guys make some mistakes, he could be in for a podium at some tracks as well.
Definitely.
He's that type of driver that when he's having a good race, he doesn't make many mistakes, and he capitalises on so many others. It's a really good way of driving in reality. But speaking of drivers, let's have a quick look at the entry list, which again is equally as strong as last season. So Lee, you see yourself, Jamie's in it, Dave Whitehouse, Johnny. Envoy Extreme is back, hopefully with a wheel as well, which is good news for him.
Yeah.
Tim is back in. Harry, who's not tagged because he keeps changing his name. Scooby G's in it. Roy, Jack is obviously in it. Fraser, a new guy, Alessandro Sco. I can't remember what his. I think it's like something.
It is _team
Sco, yeah. So a bit of an unknown entity there for everyone. So that could be interesting to see how he does in his first season in the Clios on Mondays.
I have raced him in the past, and he's pretty decent. It was a while ago, so can't give you exact up to date, but he seemed pretty decent at the time.
There's only one way really to see. That's to turn up at Zhuhai, I guess.
Definitely.
And obviously yours truly is back in, and Jack will know I had a bit of a do I don't I situation in this, to be honest. As Jack knows, I spoke to Jack about it, but I'm back, which is good. Hopefully on the wheel, but you never know.
Yeah, hopefully on a wheel. There is one addition. Driver from last season, Mr. Andy Brewer.
Good to have Brewer back. He was decent last season.
He's signed up literally today, I think it was. So there are 2 spots remaining. Anyone listening in that's interested, wants to join the Clios, normally kicks off around 10 o'clock mark, subject to the Group A's and the TCCs running on time, which most of the time I do. It will be 5 minutes practice and a 20-minute race, so hopefully, worst case, it won't be any later than 11. Best case, it'll be 10:30. Unlikely that it's 10:30, to be fair. But yeah, we're normally always finished before 11, so a couple of slots left. If anyone's interested, then get signed up.
Without a doubt. I mean, it's going to be a fantastic season. I mean, I'm going to ask you both this because obviously we all compete in this series. What are your expectations, predictions on the Clios this season?
Start with you, Jack.
I'm going to win.
I thought you'd say that. Bear in mind you're the current champion. That's exactly what your goal should be.
I didn't feel like I was driving the Clio. It just felt, it's going to sound strange, but I felt like I was part of like a natural instinct to drive that car. The first season I drove it, it took time to adjust to the wheel, which is what I was doing, which is why I struggled a bit in season 12. It would have been, I think I had 2 podiums that season. But last season just clicked. Everything clicked into place, and I don't think I'll be as dominant. I'd be very surprised if I was, but I do think I will win it.
I'm liking the confidence. I think Jamie might have something to say about that. Also Harry. Also
Scooby. Fraser.
Scooby came on well at the end of the season, yeah.
Pretty much anyone's gonna be knocking on your door, Jack. So one thing I would like to say at this point that has just sprung into my mind that I didn't mention at any point through. I don't know if you guys have. In fact, you wouldn't have because he wasn't part of the Group A's. But we're going to be missing a big driver for next season. Sadly pulled out for various reasons. But NGR Martin is not racing next season in either of the Monday Night Tours Championships. In fact, I don't think he's racing in any of NXTGEN's races. I know he's had issues with his wheel, other circumstances affecting his racing. And I've got to be honest, from a personal note, I'm absolutely gutted because Martin seems to have been finding his best form of recent times. And for him not to be continuing on, I think if he was here in both TCC and Clio's, he'd have been a major contender. I hope he gets wind of this, but I'm proper gutted he's not going to be around. And if I could talk him back in to driving, I would, and I have tried. But he's got things he needs to deal with, whatever that happens to be. So I just hope he returns.
It's quite a shame, really, because he was one of the 4 drivers left from that first grid of season 10 in the TCC League to have taken part in every season consistently. Sorry, one of the 5. There was me, you, Scooby, and Fraser being the other 4, and now there's only 4 of us left from that grid who've been able to do every season. Oh, Tim. Pardon me.
Yeah, Tim's been around all the time.
Tim's been around, so we're down to 5. Yeah, that 6th one's gone, and it's quite sad, really, because Martin should have won more races than what he's won. That's a fact.
I think Martin had some bad luck.
I was going to say he's probably the unluckiest driver on the grid.
Yeah,
I'd say that much.
For his passion for motorsport and sim racing, it's got to him more than I've noticed it get to others. Which is saddening for me, because I want him around. I don't know whether that's all part of what's happened. I know he's got things to deal with, as well as his frustrations with what happened last season, and the fact that he was on the end of some absolutely dire luck, horrible situations, some things that he felt were not his fault, and but were sort of a racing incident type stuff, unfortunate, but purely through his passion for what he's doing and the motorsport and everything. I think it affected him a little bit. I just hope he decides to come back. So he'll be missed.
It's not nice to have, obviously, now one less driver who's competing every season of the touring cars. Although, if you flip that really on to the bright side, on the base of the touring cars has got 16 drivers. It does show that more newer people to the championship are coming into it.
Oh, I'm all for that. As I said before, right, if I could, I'd run 2 rooms. If I could get the continuity and the guarantee that the 2 rooms would continue to run for the whole season, I would run it without hesitation, because I think it would be so good. Because you'd also give the likes of the mid to backpack guys an opportunity to be on the podium, so they're not racing against us guys in tier 1, they're racing against guys in tier 2, and they're more matched, in which case those guys that sit at the back and sit at the mid pack could be getting wins and could be getting podiums against closer skilled drivers, until their skills improve that they can get up to the other tier. But that's not the case at the minute, but I dearly love that.
No, without a doubt. And well, that pretty much ends it. Apart from, there is one thing which Jack knows about, which I haven't told Lee and haven't announced yet. But Lee, do you remember a couple of seasons ago now, back in like season 11, season 12, I was doing a few round reviews? If you can remember.
Yes.
They're coming back.
So the notebooks are
the notebooks are going to be coming back, which I'm thoroughly excited about, because I've, as you do know, I've had to deal with some family business over the course of season 13, which has kind of rendered me useless to most stuff. But it's going to come back, and I'm hoping you two are as excited as I am about it, because I do enjoy having a little extra feature.
Nice to have a review of each round, because I quite enjoyed them at the time, but obviously when you were doing them at the time, a lot of new work and extra activities away from next gen kept you from doing more of them, and I really did enjoy them. So I'm looking forward to listening in again when they get uploaded onto YouTube and linked onto the pages, which I think would be quite good to have everyone have a listen to and have a watch.
I don't think I've done a notebook before, have I, Jordan? So my excitement is slightly stemmed by the fact that I'm not quite sure what you're doing, but at the same time, I know exactly what you mean, and that would be really cool.
I'll send you a link to one of the old ones, just so you can get a picture.
Yeah, apologies, I've not taken the time to actually do that off my own.
No.
But, yeah, do that, mate, and I'll have a look. But no, I think what you're referring to is obviously some either individual round or mid-season or however you feel to do them. Obviously, notebook reviews of how the season's going. So that sounds brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of obviously stemmed from F1, as majority of people know if they watch on Sky Sports, with Ted and his notebook, or wherever he is nowadays, because it's now probably more like Karun's notebook. Yeah, but hopefully every round, if not every other. And yeah, hopefully everyone will enjoy it, because nice little recap without really having to, if you miss the streams almost. And plus I find it, especially for like myself, it's quite a nice recap to have a little look over, because it's not as long before the start of the next round, so you can remember what's happened and almost build upon your season from there.
Cool.
But, and obviously, if anyone wants to watch my progress in a Clio Cup car, you're more than welcome to. And we'll see how far we can get out of the grid this time. Obviously, I should have had a fourth, and stupid track limits. I was gutted in that. Yeah, we'll see how far we can get. But Jack and Lee, thank you for joining me. I know it's quite late now. But thank you for joining me. It's been a pleasure talking and kind of understanding thought process behind season 14. It's always intriguing to see what the hosts think.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
But from us, thank you all for listening in if you're still awake. If not, you're probably watching this on a repeat on YouTube. Do join us next week. It's the start of season 14. The Group A1s at Brands Hatch GP and the Modern Touring Cars and Clios at Zoohai. So do join us for those, because it's going to be a cracking start to the season and hopefully another close one. But from me, Lee and Jack, thank you all for listening and watching tonight. Enjoy the rest of your night.